Endeavour. Hello, Endeavour. Are you all right? It's the next chapter of Phoenix, which is chapter 9. And very exciting, isn't it? I quite like this book. So I'm going to crack on and then hopefully it's another good chapter because I've not read it yet. Right. Bixer strode away down a cloistered corridor, her hooves clicking confidently on the curving floor. Lucky trailed along behind her, losing his balance and stumbling with every step until they reached an arched doorway. Through it was a cabin lit with candles and sticks of incense, and more vid screens that glowed like stained glass, showing those mysterious figures Bixer had called the 12 Astraeus. In the centre of the cabin was a fur-covered bed. An alien lady was tucked up inside it. She was old, like someone from another age, but she was grand as well. She was wearing a robe of turquoise and gold, blazing with colour like a peacock's feathers. A matching headscarf covered her hair. She had golden rings on every finger. Captain Knox and Frolic stood on either side of her bed. The captain was holding the astrolabe, and they seemed to be arguing about something. But as Lucky and Bixer entered the cabin, the lady looked up and saw them, and her eyes shone with fire, as golden as her rings. She stared right into Lucky's eyes. Her gaze seemed to reach directly into his brain. A worrying thought flashed through his mind. They eat eyeballs! Is that why she's staring into my eyes like that? Does she want to eat my eyeballs? He began to sweat. It felt very warm in this cabin and very light, as if gravity was lower than elsewhere on the ship. There was a strange smell in the air, a mixture of gunpowder, chocolate, and spice. The alien lady drew her furs tight around herself and spoke at last. "Welcome to the Sunfire," she said. "My name is Mystica Grandax." "And I'm Lucky." "Are you quite sure?" "Of course. I mean, it's my name," he replied. But as he spoke, he couldn't help remembering the Shadow Guard's words. "Diana Ashbourne, we know who you really are. We know your real name, and we know what you've done." There was so much he'd never known about his mother. So much he'd never known about. He'd never even known her real name. Maybe he'd never known his own. "Well, Lucky, or whatever your name is," said Mystica. "I'd heard what happened on the spaceport. I am sorry about your mother. What she did was courageous, and we will not forget it." "What exactly did happen back there in the port?" Captain Knox cut in. "Why were the Shadow Guards after you? Why did your mother do what she did?" The words were like knives in Lucky's belly. He shut his eyes, trying to hold back the feelings that were rising up inside him. "I don't know. That's the scariest thing. They wanted something. She knew what it was, but she never told me." "Well," said the captain, "do you know what her plans were at least? She asked me to take you somewhere safe. A remote moon, perhaps." Lucky didn't know what to say. How could that possibly help him find his father? He knew he had to be strong here, to stand up for what he wanted, but it was so hard to speak with those fiery eyes on him. Frolic stood up and tended to the candles which were burning low. "That doesn't make sense, Captain. Shouldn't we take him to his family? Where's your family, kid?" Lucky peered up at the enormous alien, his mother's words echoing in his mind. "They're not devils. They're people, just like you and me." Was it possible that they really might help him? "The only family I know about is my father," he made himself reply. "He's in the war zone, beyond the space wall, so that's where I want to go." Captain Knox's eyes burned. "Do you have any idea what you're saying?" His huge grey horns glinted in the candlelight, casting long shadows. "Isn't that where the aliens are?" said Lucky. "Isn't it your home?" "Not any more." The captain looked down. There are things out there. What sort of things? Said Lucky, feeling cold at the thought of something that could scare his formidable alien. But the captain couldn't say any more. If that's where your father is, he growled, then forget about him. We'll do what your mother wanted, drop you off on a nice safe moon. I'm not going to forget about my father, Lucky shuddered, and forced himself to press on. I'm going to find him, whatever it takes. I don't want to go to some moon. I'm going to the war zone. There was a moment of silence. The aliens looked at each other. But where in the war zone, exactly? Said the old lady. It covers half the galaxy, you know. How do you plan to find him in the middle of all that? Lucky had no answer. The cabin felt like it was beginning to spin around him, and only one thing was clear, just how hard it was going to be to find his father. Hey, don't look so sad, said Frolics. There must be something, some clue. What else do you know about him? Not much. He's been fighting in the war since before I can remember, and my mother never liked talking about him. I've only got one thing of his, the astrolabe. So why don't you use it to find him? Said Bixer. Lucky blinked. A spark of hope flickered inside him. Could I do that? It certainly could, said Captain Knox, if it were working properly. Astrolabes are the most powerful navigational devices ever made. They can find anything in the galaxy, from a person to a planet. But yours is the most temperamental I've ever seen. It gave me just enough to plot a course, but no more. I believe there's something wrong with it. He held the black metal disc out to Lucky. You see, not a single glimmer of light. Lucky took the astrolabe and held it in his hands. It was true. There was no silver glow. The symbols around its circumference weren't even visible. Just looked like dead black metal. But it was a relief to hold it again. It felt so good to have it back. It made him feel closer to his father. Made him believe he actually, really could find him. Out there in infinite space. Look, breathed Mystica. Lucky looked down. His skin prickled. The black metal was starting to glow again. The 12 symbols were beginning to glimmer. They gleamed and shimmered with faint silver light that seemed to come from nowhere, from somewhere far, far away. Let me see that, said the captain, reaching for it. But the moment he touched it, the light flickered out, and the astrolabe looked dull and dead once more. Don't do that, Mystica. Let it be with the boy. Only the boy. No one else is to touch it. Lucky held the astrolabe close, as if protecting it, and as he warmed it with his hands, he sensed the light coming back into it again. It was glowing at his touch, and his touch alone. Bizarre, said the captain. Why does it light up for him and no one else? I've been using astrolabes all my life, and I've never found one I couldn't work. I tell you there's something wrong with it. Perhaps a Star Talker could. I think perhaps, interrupted Mystica, this astrolabe is protected, so only the boy can use it. Why don't you show him how it works? Would you like that, boy? Oh, yes, please, begged Lucky. But he's just a child, the captain protested. A human child at that. You think he can waltz into it and make it work when I, Ozymandias Knox, cannot? Let him try, said Mystica. How else is he going to find his father? The captain snorted. Well, there's a simple way to settle this. Boy, put your fingers on its dials and ask it to unlock itself. You'll see, it won't do a thing. Ask it, said Lucky nervously. Yes, think the words in your mind. Lucky put his fingers on the dials, feeling foolish, but in his mind he imagined saying the words, Astrolabe, please unlock yourself. The instant he thought that, the dials began to turn beneath his fingers. The wheels began to spin, smoothly, gracefully, easily. It was moving. At last, the astrolabe was moving. All he had to do was ask. Something so simple. He'd never even thought of it. Bubbling with excitement, he looked up and saw the aliens all staring at him, their eyes aflame. "How are you doing that?" hissed Knox. "Just did what you told me," quaked Lucky. As the metal dials turned and turned, there was such a sensation of power at his fingertips, but he wasn't doing a thing. The astrolabe was spinning at its own speed, following its own rhythms like some starry dynamo pulsing in the night. So what now? How does it work? "Your human ships use star maps to navigate faster than the speed of light," said Captain Knox, eyes flashing, "but Axis ships travel at the speed of dark. We use astrolabe to guide our dark matter drives across the vast gulfs of interstellar space." "Dark matter?" said Lucky, puzzled. "Like the bombs?" Bixer scowled. "Is that all you know about us? Bombs? Well, the dark matter drive is the safest, cleanest, quickest way to travel ever invented. It doesn't waste fuel, like you crazy groundlings, but without an astrolabe, the drive won't work. You're stuck in whatever system you happen to be in, like we were, when we surrendered ours, thanks to your government for banning our technology." Lucky stared down at the spinning dials and the gleaming symbols, the faraway light. "Astrolabes are your technology," he said. "Course," said Frolix. "They were made by AXA navigators years ago. They were the highest point our science ever reached." Lucky frowned, trying to imagine why his father would have a piece of alien technology, but already Captain Knox was pointing to the astrolabe's circumference. "See these symbols," he said. "They represent the 12 star systems of the galaxy. Within the astrolabe is a kind of map, encompassing all the stars and the worlds we know. But it's not like one of your human star maps. It doesn't just show you the route. It actually takes you there. Well, it takes your mind there. Your body remains here in a trance. Try it. Start by asking it to show your position in space. If that works, then ask it where your father is." Lucky concentrated with all his might. He had to make it work. Had to. "Astrolabe," he said in his mind, "show me my position in space." He considered for a moment and then added, "Please, just in case." The dials pricked up speed. They shimmered beneath his fingertips as the black metal disc pulsed and blazed and throbbed with light. And then Lucky went into the astrolabe. He became part of it. He couldn't see Mystica's cabin anymore. Not the candles, not the incense, not the aliens. What he saw instead was space, infinite black space, open, unboundaried and free. It was studded with stars, millions of stars all around him, above him, below him, the stars he'd looked up at so often from the ground. They'd surrounded him on every side. They weren't little points of light anymore. Up close they were suns, each one a giant blazing sun. Inside them burned the impossible energies, stronger than the fires in a nuclear furnace, bigger than the blast of 1 billion atom bombs. They filled him with awe. They were so bright. It hurt his eyes to look directly at them, but he couldn't help it. He felt compelled to stare and stare into the scorching faces of the suns, for as he gazed at them, he had the distinct sensation that they were staring right back at him. And as he flew among them, he became aware that he was no longer in his own body. He seemed to be in a new body, some kind of astral body that defied gravity and needed no air, a body of pure consciousness. Every fibre in his being shivered with the strangeness of it. He needed every ounce of concentration to ask this question. "Please show me where my father is," he asked the astrolabe in his mind. A line of blazing silver light shot out from one of the stars, then another line, and another, and now more and more lines were shooting out of more and more stars, joining up in spirals and webs, swirling away in every direction to infinity, so fast it made his head spin and his stomach lurch. "What's going on?" he thought. A panic rose inside him. "I don't like this. I can't move. I can't think. I can't breathe." And then he was hurtling along the lines of light through space, totally out of control, faster and faster, further and further, spiralling all the way to the edge of space, and then over the edge, and then off the map, and... "Stop!" he gasped. as he fell out of the astrolabe and landed on the floor of Mystica's cabin. Gravity smashed back into him with a painful crash. He dropped the astrolabe in shock. Its silver lights winked out, its dials all ground to a halt. He was shaking, his head hurt, and the aliens were staring at him with eyes of flame. "Goodness gracious," said Mystica. "Are you all right?" Look, his heart was still racing, but at least he could breathe again. He could move. He seemed unharmed, though the panic was just a heartbeat away. "That was scary," he said as he hauled himself up. "That was your first try," said Captain Knox, looking shaken. "Yeah, I couldn't do it." "You panicked, and then you came out of it badly," said the captain. "But most humans can't even get into an astrolabe at all, let alone move through it. Even the great AXA navigators. It takes years." He shook his head. His face was an unreadable mix of emotions. "So where did it take you?" "Nowhere, just threw me off the edge of the map." "Off the edge?" The captain picked up the astrolabe and examined it. The dials seemed to have flipped, and now they appeared to be pointing outside the astrolabe altogether. "This doesn't make sense," he said. "I've never seen an astrolabe's dials point outwards. It's not possible that its map contains everything in the galaxy." He shook his head. "It's as I thought. Your astrolabe must be broken, after all." Look, he felt a sharp stab of disappointment. His only hope of finding his father. And it was really broken. "Can you fix it?" he asked. Like I said, that technology is old," sighed Frolix. "Even we don't really understand it anymore." Mystica coughed, and she pulled her furs tighter around herself. "There is one person who might be able to help. The very person we are going to see, in fact. An old friend of ours, Leo 5. He specialises in ancient artifacts. If anyone can fix that astrolabe, he can." Lucky peered at her. "Could you maybe take me to meet him?" "My dear, oh, don't you think we have a business of our own with him?" replied the captain coldly. "My dear," Mystica chuckled, "without the boy and his astrolabe, we wouldn't be back in space at all." She winked at Lucky, almost like they were conspirators. But then she coughed again, and a deep racking cough that shook her whole body. "Besides," she managed to wheeze, "I rather think the professor would wish to see this astrolabe for himself." A look passed between Mystica and Knox. Then Knox looked up and strode to the doorway. "Well, it's a long way to Leo," he said. "If you want to stay on the ship, boy, you better start earning your keep. Can you do anything useful?" "I know a bit about starships," said Lucky cautiously. "I've always wanted to fly one." "Fly?" The captain tossed his horns back in scorn. "You think I'd let you fly the Sunfire? No. I'll tell you how you can earn your keep. First, you can maintain this ship in tip-top condition so we don't waste any more energy on repairs. You can clean the floors, polish the vid screens, scrub the toilet." "The toilet?" "Yes," said Captain Knox, "the toilet. It is now on your responsibilities. Second, you can help Frolix fight, so you obviously enjoyed fighting, like most humans." Good, because Bixer is always complaining that she has no one to train with her. So starting right now, you are her official training partner. You have to do whatever she wants. Are we clear?" Look, his eyes grew wide with horror, but no wider than Bixer's own. "What?" she shrieked as Captain Knox strode out of the cabin. "No way, I'm not training with him." And that was chapter 9. Good. I wonder who Leo 5 is. Obviously not Leo.
Yeah, because I'm right here.
You don't know anything about astrolabes. So there we go. Anyway, do chapter 10 soon. Hope you're all well and staying well. And we'll be delighted if we could see some pictures of really excellent parent haircuts. You know, where you've had your hair cut by your parent, maybe with the use of a bowl. We haven't got any clippers in our house, so it's all going a bit wild and crazy in our house. So I hope you're all keeping well anyway, and we very much look forward to seeing you all at school soon. Fingers crossed. Okay, take care, bye.